tonight, but just to share a couple things and then give you a chance to ask any questions. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, so one of the things, if you haven't done before, that we need you to be able to do is, if you haven't done this yet, we do need you to be sure that you have signed up for an event on the Adventist Robotics website, which I'm assuming you can see. Can you see am I sharing my screen? Nope, not sharing the screen. Okay, let me try this again. Share. Try this again. All right. How about now? Can you see my screen?
We can see it.
Okay, great, perfect. On the Adventist Robotics website, do be sure you go to under registration here. There now is this link here for first LEGO League event registration. And this will take you to Ticket Spice. We've had a number of teams sign up, but we still have quite a few more that do. The sooner you do this, the better it is for us and our event planning. You can come here and select the event that you are planning to attend. And then you just need one ticket per team. That's your event registration. Fill out the information and you're good to go. Should be pretty quick and easy to do. If you could do that as soon as possible, that will help us in the event registration. Do keep in mind.
Mel, for that, we have 2 teams, so we registered both teams, and this is Anne Marie from Vista Ridge. And now I forgot what I was gonna say. Darn it. Anyway, okay, so we registered
did
2
it work
teams.
okay? Correct.
It worked fine.
Okay.
I forgot what I was gonna mention about that, but if I think of it. Oh, the registration date is always gonna be February 11th, and in Denver, like, is that ever gonna change to a later date, or is it always gonna be, we're always gonna, because we're the first date, and it was that date last year, I believe.
Correct. Yes.
And it doesn't give us much time to work on our stuff. That's why I was wondering, do they move them around sometimes?
We're working on options where we can move those around and getting some more dates open. That's something to talk to Mile High Academy about, because we coordinate with them. But at the end of the day, they're the ones that set that date. One of the challenge, just full transparency with this, one of the challenges that I have is that it does really help if I'm there at the event. However, I'm only one person, and so I'm working on replicating myself. Work with the AI people. And anyway, no, seriously. But I am working on setting up training other people to help out with events, and we're going to have, in fact, Mile High Academy this year, we're going to have Griff Griffith is going to be helping with that event, because I actually have a scheduling conflict with that this year. But I'm open to moving that around depending on where that is and what it is. We're working on plans where there's more flexibility in my schedule and we can push that back. But
yeah, that would be great, because it just doesn't give our team time to get as good as some of the ones who wait later.
Correct. I'll just throw an alternate theory to consider with that one, which I don't agree with. I mean, I don't disagree with you on that. However, everybody attending that event has the same handicap as far as where they are, and advancement from that to the championship is, we will do a certain number of teams from that tournament to advance to the championship from each tournament. So the flip side argument would be that if you advance to the championship, then you would have more time to prepare to the championship than, say, the team that advanced from Raleigh on April 7. So,
I
so
see.
I do hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree with it. There's just an upside and downside to both of those, and I'm more than glad to work with the different events on the dates. But I would certainly have a conversation with them and see what options they have there. This is the second year that they've done it in Colorado there at Mile High Academy. We're super excited to have them on board as a tournament host. But at the end of the day, they're the ones that have to make it happen, and it has to kind of fit in their schedule as well. So definitely have those conversations, and see where gracious professionalism will take you in that
Great,
journey.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And it's good to know what that is. Like I say, we're working on expanding capability to have more events and tighten up the schedule a little bit if we need to with that. But you are correct, it is the earliest one. Now, that being said, also for all of this, in perspective with where we are um, in the schedule, most in the public tournaments, most of those are actually happening now or have happened. And so they are even earlier than ours. And of course, you can, as a team, you can sign up. Team registration opens up every year in mid to late May of every year. So you can actually sign up and register your team with First in May, by the end of May, and then you'll get all your materials over the summer, and you can start the school year with your challenge set and everything, because the challenge release happens August 1, which is before the start of the school year. So you can do that, and that's to your advantage to do that. And obviously, I do. I don't know if it's obviously. Let me just put it that. Maybe it's the wrong choice of word, but I do also recognize that it's school schedule that there are many things going on in a school schedule, and you have to choose how you fit it in and where it goes with that. But just sharing some options for you. Hopefully that helps as you kind of do your planning with that. So the sooner you register, again, get your team registered at the end of May, then you can have your materials when your school starts and be ready to go. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah, you bet. All right, so that's a very important piece to get done. Again, it's very easy to do that. I will want to remind you to have two coaches. So if you go to your First Inspires login, you have to have two coaches signed up and registered, and we have quite a few teams that still do not have two coaches signed up and registered. So they may have one, but both coaches have to go through the youth protection program screening. And give this a second to. Sorry about that. Let me back up a little bit. So if you pull this down here, you might see some red items here because this is where your youth protection screening is. Different information, all these acknowledgement forms. You shouldn't have anything flagged here when you sign into your First dashboard. Then when you come to your teams, you see here in this particular team, I have 3 tasks that are outstanding. And so I'm missing a payment because this is just a kind of a dummy team I set up just to see what it goes on, because I don't actually have a team. And it says here a lead coach or mentor is either missing or incomplete data. So the easiest way to look at this is if you look at your primary contacts right here and your team contacts and roster, you can see I only have one. If I click on that, this will bring this up here, and I have youth members. Here's my team leadership. You can see I have just myself on there, but I need to then click here to invite a second coach. And if I do that, then they can sign up and it'll bring them in. If you have any challenges with this getting in, both coaches have to go through the youth protection program screening. Once you have that done, then your QR code here for your youth member sign up gets activated, and that's it's a really quick and easy way. Have any of you done youth membership sign up yet?
Yes, we have Vista
Okay,
Ridge. Mhm.
how did that go for you? Was that an easy process?
It is, once we figured out that you can, the QR codes have expirations, so you can set the expiration longer or shorter, what you want. We ended up
Okay.
not realizing that till later. And so we had to go through 3 different QR codes because we weren't, but you can adjust the extension of how long you want the QR code to last.
Okay. Yep. That's something I haven't used this part of it. It's a brand new feature this year. It used to be a rather tedious process to get them signed up. So that's good to know. Yeah, definitely. When you do that, make sure that you have your set your expiration on there, set the length of it, and then just really work once you do it, work to get everybody signed up within a relatively short period of time and get that done. And once you have that done, it's all there, and then you will have all of your actually you'll have your youth members in here and you'll be able to bring them into your team. And then you'll be able to print your roster. So here, and again, I can't print my roster, but when you come to an event, and we'll cover this again, when you go to the event, you print this roster on this page. And that's in addition to paying for the event fee, this is kind of your ticket to get into the event, is to have this roster printed. Because everybody that's on this roster has been cleared through the youth protection program. So all your kids that are attending the event have to be on this roster. And that you can add and subtract throughout, up until the time of the event. You just need to print this, bring that printout with you to the event, and that will save you a lot of grief. And I know I've talked about this before, but it's a very, very important piece for that. So, all right. The other thing I want, let me just come back here. Let me go back to my dashboard. Let me come back. One of the things, if you have parents willing to help out at events, each event is always looking for volunteers. Clearly, if you're a parent of a student, there are some things that you cannot do. For example, referee or judge is things you can't do. But on the volunteer tab, they're always looking for volunteers. If you have parents coming along that would like to help out, they can scroll down here. They'll have to have an account. So when you follow this link, if you're already signed in, it just takes you. So if I come to the Colorado one, this will take me right here. I may have to sign up for an account. It might just take me to the main page. I have to sign up for an account, then come back and click the link again. And here I can say, all right, I want to sign up for this event. And here's different kinds of things that I can do. Now, clearly, if you're like I say, if you're a parent, you can't do referee, but you could do score runner. You could do judge cure information. There's many different things that we need help with, that each event needs help with. So certainly encourage them to take care to do that if you have some people available for that. All right. And I want to remind you, of course, of the first LEGO League under season. This is your gold mine of information. Make sure that you are taking time to go through, both you and your team members. This is public information, so empower your kids to go through this and learn all the different features in here. Definitely take a look at the challenge judging area. This is an area that's easy to overlook, the judging session flowchart, and we will be going over this in more detail in January. So right now, we're not going to spend a lot of time, but this is something you want to take a look at. This is what your judging session will look like. And I'll just highlight a couple things here. There's an innovation project. Let me zoom in here a little bit. So basically, you come into the room, you'll have 5 minutes for an innovation project, 5 minutes for question and answer. Then you'll have 5 minutes for your robot design explanation, 5 minutes for question and answer, and then core values, questions and answers, brief of that, and then some feedback from the judges. So what you find here is that core values is not a presentation. That is just assessed throughout the amount of time, the time that you're there. So then with that as well, the other piece that goes along with it is the rubrics. This is what you're evaluated on. So you can look at the different areas. This first rubric, actually, let me back up here. The first rubric is core values. It's more open-ended in it, but how are you going to display How are your students going to display this? Then when you come to the innovation project, these are the different parts of it. So are you covering each one of those different parts? And each of these are explained in both the in the engineering notebook and in the some more information in the team leader guide. So this is information, nothing secret. So see how you do that. How do your team members communicate? So the strategy is, how do you set up a strategy where they'll be able to communicate that to them? And then robot design, how are you going to communicate these different things? So as you're working with your kids, these are the different areas that you are working on to display to the judges for that. This is completely separate from the points on the field. A lot of teams can sometimes just focus only on the missions and the amount of points they get, but there's a lot more to it than that. So don't forget about the rubrics that are there. They're easy to print out and available
Mel,
for you. Yes.
Where did you get the flow chart prior to the rubrics? The other one.
So that's this judging. It's under here under challenge
Okay.
judging, and it's this judging session flow chart.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And then if you want to see the various awards that are available here under awards, this will show you the different awards that are there.
Okay.
So we usually don't do the optional awards. We don't even always do a coach mentor award, but we always do. These are the 5 primary awards. 4 judged, three judged awards. The robot performance award, which is your the points actually, and then the champions award is the overall with that overall. All 4 of these areas equally weighted for the champions award. So, all right. All right, so with that, I think the last thing I'll touch on here is the challenge updates. Make sure that you have taken time to look at those. Let's take a look at the challenge updates for here. So this was updated December 7th. Today is December 10th, so there is an update. So here is update 10. So make sure that you take a look at that. That's a clarification. So update 10, use of Lego powered up. Amendment to before the match equipment 3. We acknowledge that the use of Lego powered up electric elements has been unclear in the rules and previously and apologize for any confusion. We hereby confirm that going forward, the use of these motors is officially allowed. So that may or may not impact you, but that's a clarification as far as an impact goes. And there was one on the 28th of November as well, outside. So here we have during the match outside the home area. Let me zoom in on this just a little bit. As stated during the match outside home 4, if a mission model is combined with anything, including the robot, the combination must be loose or simple enough that if asked to, a technician could immediately free the mission model in its perfect original condition. For the remainder of the season, the word immediate will mean if this condition can be met in one single motion. Points scored during using combinations that fail this test do not count. So it used to be that, if you turned it upside down, it would come out. Basically, you can't do, if you have to grab both of them, both sides and take it apart, it's not there. But it could be, you could have a peg, on your device and it could sit on the peg. I mean, there's just very different kinds of things that you could do with that. But I'm just kind of brainstorming a little bit with that, and I have no idea how you would apply that. But again, make sure you've gone through all of these, because these add clarifications, and check back on this, because there, as you can see, there was a update just on the 7th, which today's the 10th. So that was what, third Wednesday or Thursday of last week that we had a most recent update. So they do provide updates throughout the season. So definitely check back on that. All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and take any questions that you may have.
Okay, Mel. So this is Anne Marie again from Vista Ridge. We're having the toughest time with the innovation project still. Like it drives me bananas that it just seems so unclear. I look up for resources and talk on, online, and we're not finding what we need.
Okay.
The kids aren't motivated by that portion of it, of course.
Right.
So I wondered if someone else could tell me how it's going with their teams, what they're doing. Like, we need help.
Sure.
Presentation wise, I don't know. So if anyone can offer what you're doing, how you went about it, because we've attempted 3 different times and it's just, yeah.
Any thoughts on that for those of you that have done something with it?
Well, we just had the kids choose a hobby that they all could agree that that was a good one. And then we're creating a video game to show how to use it, how to do that successfully. We're doing cliff jumping.
Wow, that's creative.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? All right. I'll share just a couple thoughts on it. Let me go to the engineering notebook. Can you see my screen again? All right, I'm going to go to the engineering notebook here because this is where the challenge information is. Come back to, here's the innovation project. So
So we followed that.
Yeah, here's your statement. How can you use technology in the arts to help others, engage others, or increase participation in what you love to do?
Right.
So the one thing I would encourage you to do, teams to do, is don't overthink it. It's a very, very wide open. You can do anything. You could do a video. You could do, so, as David said, just make it as, what is it you want it? What's something fun that you enjoy doing? If it's about some hobby that they have no interest in, then it's going to be hard to get them engaged in it. So what are the hobbies that they actually do, on a day-to-day basis?
So like what our teams did is they each outlined this page and answered questions to their hobby. Then they chose
Yep.
from the group which one they were going to pick out of everybody's submissions.
Mhm.
So each team has their choiced hobby, but then we're dead after that. And I was going to show the video of the arts, the video they have on the main
Mhm.
page of how the arts is used for or technology is used for the arts, the stage and the puppetry that they have on that video.
Mhm.
But I don't know. But the video game thing was helpful, and a video, and yeah, I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah. So again, keep it. Don't. So one of the challenges of showing a video of what somebody else has done is then they go, "Oh, I got to do that." And really, the idea with this and the success of this is not dependent, or the team's success at the tournament in the judging is not dependent on a great viable outcome. It's dependent on following the process, the design and
Okay.
innovation process. So how viable the outcome is, don't get stuck on that either. It's about having fun and teaching the kids how to think outside the box. And if kids have never done this before, it can be a little bit challenging for them because they don't, it's like, what am I supposed to do? In school, I have a worksheet and I have to fill out the answers and I either get it right or I get it wrong. But here you're throwing something at me that is like, oh, there's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. It's not a predetermined, um, it's not a predetermined outcome. And it's very easy for kids to get into the mindset of, oh, I have to get the right answer. There's no right answer to this. There's no wrong answer to this. It's really about the process. How do we learn to create something new, share that, iterate? So if you go to see if I can find it here. So the design thinking process here is, identify a problem, design a solution, or design an idea, create that solution, iterate, communicate it with others, identify. You're basically this repeated process. And if you come back to um, the to the rubric here, you have identify. Team had a clearly identified problem that was well researched. So what is the problem? Why we've got this hobby? Why do people not, are people engaged with this hobby? Are they not engaged with this hobby? What would help them be more engaged with this hobby? What identify that problem, have it clearly defined. What is, excuse me, what is the problem that they've decided? Research, and then research that problem. So okay, here's the problem. Okay, so let's do some research about this problem. Oops, sorry. We're going to do some research about this problem. What exactly is going on with this? So what have people done about it? What solutions are already created? Learn about the hobby if not everybody knows everything about the hobby. Take time to identify it and then research it. That's really what you're looking at here. Then 2, design team generated innovative ideas independently before selecting and planning which one to develop. So, okay, so you've got these different, you've identified that, well, you just use the base jumping concept if they want to do base jumping, which may or may not be what you want your kids to do. Parents might be thrilled with it, but whatever it may be, hey, or skydiving. Let's just take skydiving since that's something different. All right, so why do people not get involved in skydiving? Well, so you're going to go through, well, okay, so here's the problem. The problem with skydiving is it's a fear factor with skydiving. So how do we help overcome that fear factor of skydiving? Well, your kids are going to come up with a number of independent ideas to be able to decide. And then, within the team, everybody's going to look for ideas. You're going to make this list of ideas and you're going to narrow it down. It's not about a right or wrong idea, but we're just going to choose one that we think is going to be fun to do and that will work. Then you're going to create. The team will develop an original idea or build onto an existing one with a prototype model drawing to represent their solution. So again, a solution doesn't have to be a brand new idea. The widget may already be invented. You may help make a better widget as a way of saying that. So, but it's a team developed, it's an original idea or built onto an existing one, prototype, drawing, some way to represent that solution. Then you're going to iterate. The team shared their ideas, collected feedback, included improvements in their solution. So the idea with this, in a simple way, and you can do this many times actually, is all right. So if we said that with skydiving, fear factor is an issue, then we came up with a solution. Well, then we're going to go to skydiving school and we're going to share our solution with them. And maybe part of the research with that is maybe you went and visited a skydiving school and talked to the instructors and listened to what they heard, as part of your coming up with ideas, or had somebody come to your school as an expert and talk about skydiving. Whatever this hobby might happen to be that you do. I'm just using skydiving as an illustration here. Not that you would do that. You might, but and then but then the point is you go back to those people and you say, hey, we came up with this idea. What do you think of this idea? Do you have suggestions on improving it? And they may say, hey, you know what, that video you made to reduce the fear factor, it's a cool video, it was great shots, I would change this wording here, or I would adjust this, or I would make these changes. All right, then you go back and make those changes, and then improve on it. And that's the whole idea that, just like when you build a robot, you may not build your finished product the first time. You're going to build a robot and you're going to improve on that robot. It's an iterative design concept. And then communicate. The team shared a creative and effective presentation of their current solution and its impact on users. So how did you communicate it? This is to the judges, of course, and how did it impact the users in there? So more than it being a 100% viable product that would actually be used, it may not be used. It may be conceptual. Maybe you develop a patent on it. We've had people do teams do PSAs, public service announcements on topics, and done really well with those types of things because they're passionate about it. But again, so with this one, to come back to our design challenge here, the statement is fairly broad, and they always make it broad specifically. They make it broad so that you have a lot of options and you're not tied into one specific thing. So you can go a lot of different directions with it. How can you use technology in the arts? So has to be tech, has to be arts. This is where you get the STEAM in there, to help engage others or increase participation in what you do or love. So I mean, videos, there's all kinds of things you could do. Video is just one option, and that might be just kind of a knee-jerk reaction. It might be a perfectly good option, but you could do a video game. You could do all kinds of things that combine video and the arts. And when you go to when you look at the mission models actually on the table, that's another point of discussion of, okay, so what kind of arts are there? What does arts really mean? I mean, you've got theater, you've got obviously, you've got live productions, concerts, plays, all kinds of different things that you have available to you, plus the recorded media, video games. You've got all kinds of things that intersect the media and technology, arts and technology. So, and this is just to help engage others or increase participation in what you'd love to do. So how do you tell the story about what's super exciting about this, or make it easier for them to do it? So
that was helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you bet. Yeah, it can be a little bit daunting, but don't overthink it. Have fun with it. And again, the rubric is a really good guide for that, because it's kind of like, all right, here's my checklist of what I need to do, and really, in a sense, helps outline that process for you. And I believe, if I remember correctly, it's been a little bit since I've dug in. Let me come back here. But in this, then you're going to have some different things related to that. There are some. So there are project sparks. So here's, museum researcher. These are ideas to get them going on it, but you don't have to use anything related to that. And these sessions, visual arts director, but this gives you an idea of the different kinds of media and arts that include technology, sound engineer, podcasts, that's technology, and the arts in a sense, because you're communicating that way. So, all right. Any other questions? Thank you for asking.
I have a question about the core values section this year. So I just want to clarify, they're not doing like a presentation about it. They're just being asked questions, and there's not going to be like the teamwork challenge game thing that there used to be.
Correct. Yes, okay. That's correct. So yeah, there used to be, for people who've done this before, there used to be kind of so what it used to be is there used to be 3 different judging sessions. You had 3 10-minute sessions. You had one on innovation project, you had one on robot design, you had one on core values. The challenge that we found, and I believe is the reason for the change that FIRST did with this, is in 10 minutes, it's really difficult to know always whether or not a team understands core values or they know how to say the words. And so really what they're going to look for throughout all of this presentation is, how do you demonstrate core values? So as you're preparing your team, then let's see, where was okay, here we go. As you're preparing your team and you're looking at how they present, so they're going to have 2 presentations essentially with this. You're going to have an innovation project presentation. That's an actual live presentation. then you're going to have a robot design. They call it an explanation, but in a sense, you have a 5-minute presentation for that. And they're going to have 5 minutes for each one of these to pepper them with some questions for some follow-up. Okay, you said this. How did you, to help them get a better idea of how to evaluate them on the rubric. So they're going to have some follow-up questions for them for each of these. So throughout this process, then they need to be demonstrating, what is discovery, and an effective team then will understand these and know that they need to talk about each of these in their presentation and weave these concepts throughout their presentation and also demonstrate it throughout the day. There is one other aspect to it, and that is in the judging. Let's see, where's the best place? Robot game score sheet. So when you do the reffing here, there is a gracious professionalism here. Most teams get accomplished as a 3. You would need to do something exceptional one way or the other to get a 4 or a 2, but it does factor in here as well. It can factor in there. So if they lose gracious professionalism and they don't do well with gracious professionalism, then they don't demonstrate it up there, and usually there's a judge in addition to the referee isn't doing that as much as we usually use a judge to kind of watch that as that process goes through and give the referee the score. So that can, impact that as well. Does that clear, or do you have other questions?
It makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Any other questions? So I see one in the chat here, the QR code process. So let me go back to that. So let's see here. I already have this open. After a while, you get a lot of tabs open. Okay. So again, with it, give me a minute. There we go. Hopefully this stays signed in for me. First of all, in order to use a QR code, you have to have 2 coaches that have completed, that are signed up for your team, that have completed their acknowledgement forms and have completed their youth protection screening. First uses verified volunteers, which is the same thing that our churches use for volunteer screening. And yes, teachers, even though you may have had an FBI or state police background check with fingerprinting and all that kind of stuff, you still have to go through it because it's easier to go through that than it is to try to get any of that kind of information checked. And it's an automated process with tens of thousands of volunteers throughout a huge system to be able to have some other type of screening come in. Just need to do that. If you've had the screening, it's usually good for, I believe, 3 years before you have to go back in again. And you can link, if you already have it, if it's recent enough, you can link it in if you already have been screened with verified volunteers. Once you do that, then if you come here under coaching and contact, your team contacts, then okay, it's testing my patience here tonight. It's all good technology does. I don't know why it's doing this. But here, new this season, this is the express enrollment. And this is where if you have 2 of the 2 coaches screened through the youth protection policy, then this QR code link here will be active. And you can do that, set the length that's good for, send that to your parents. They can scan that with that QR code with their phone. You can have it at a parent meeting, something like that. All they have to do is scan that with their phone. And then with that QR code, then it's a very simple. They fill out some basic information and boom. I think it's like 2 or 3 screens, something like that. Very easy. Contact information, what the kid's information is, and yes, they agree to the consent and release form. This consent and release for this is different than what you need for the any field trip information for your school. This is addition to that. All right. So that's pretty much the process there. If you need help with it, feel free to reach out. And I'd be glad to help you with that process. Any other questions?
Hey, Mel. I apologize if this was answered already. I dropped out for a minute. For the innovation project, did you say that it was okay for that to be conceptual, or is it something they actually have to act on?
So it can be conceptual because what's more important than the outcome is the process. And did you follow the process? So now if they haven't actually, it's one of those things that you kind of have to feel out just a little bit, because if you just said, oh, I think I'll make a video, but you don't even try to make a video, you still should make a video. If let's just say we're doing a video concept. Well, your video may not be production quality. That's not important whether or not you're great producers, but your kids can still do it and have a good time with that video. It doesn't have to be something that is fine-tuned to the point of, yes, it's going to be played on TV. Not that it couldn't if your kids wanted to. So it's kind of, where is the viability? Do you have enough viability that you can clearly identify what the project is and the results of that project? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I guess my question was more like if they maybe came up with some sort of new technology concept, but maybe they were not able to actually, create it.
Correct. But they may have some kind of prototype. They may have a drawings model. Yeah, and that happens a lot. So that's correct. That can happen.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And the kids might surprise you with what they can actually do. But yeah, that does happen, and it's okay. Again, it's the design process here that's more important than the actual viability of the product with that. And they go hand in hand. The better you follow the process, the more potential you have for viability, but not always, just because these are kids, depending on the age group of your kids. All right, any other questions? All right, then with that, I hope all of you have a great Christmas and have a little bit of a break and come back recharged in January. We'll have another session coming up in January, but I hope all that goes well for you and all your planning goes well as well. We look forward to seeing you at a tournament.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mel.
Yep.